doing the switch knife and all that stuff. And so Kiara was cast in a different part. We just kind of switched things around, and they all just killed it. And I think that's as far as I want to go on that story. And then Will and Bryce we cast locally, I believe. Regionally. And I knew Dermot. Dermot came in and helped us out, and Anne came through setting an offer, and that's how that happened.
You made some. Well, let me talk to you a little bit, Morgana. Tell them how because the role was originally Kenny. What did you do differently?
Yes, the role was originally Kenny, and I read the script again, and I was like, this could be Kendra, Let's just switch a few letters in there. And it was super fun. I had a great time working with hair, makeup, Lindsay. Michaela was incredible. And just came up with this character, and we did the test shoot, and it was just she came to life, and it was awesome. I loved getting to play Kendra, craft Kendra with the directors and the team, and it was a team effort, and we had so much fun with her. It was it really transformed Kenny. You won't even remember him. It's all Kendra
Sorry
now.
about that, Brad.
We like Kendra.
She's great.
Did you get to have some good rehearsal time?
Oh, read through
What's
that.
We did not. No, we didn't have any rehearsal. We had a little bit of a camera test to test out hair and makeup and all that stuff. I want to shout out our makeup, Michaela Kester. I'm going to take the time actually to Michaela, Meg Cabell, the production designer, Jeff Tomcho, the DP, Nate Stern, the camera operator, Jerry Olson, the line producer, Mary from Quiver is here, the distributor. Directors often are always like, it's my name on the thing. And Sanford Parker, the composer, he's amazing.
You did a great job.
Directors are always like, it's my name, I gotta take responsibility for all the decisions, the bad decisions, whatever. But honestly, it goes the opposite way. All the good decisions, it's I get to take that on, and that's the whole team. They are the ones that really, and the actors worked with all the various departments to craft those things. The makeup, the hair, all that stuff was with the actors working with those departments, especially Michaela.
Was there a lot of improv?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit.
Oh gosh. Well, I was. This is actually the first time I've seen the film. A lot of the other actors have caved and watched it prior. But
Me too, first time
I
I've seen
held out. Yeah, and Jared.
Really?
Please.
But Dermot's line of everybody shits.
Yeah.
That was straight improv, and all of us on the other side of the camera broke in a second because it was so genius.
Yeah.
So it definitely was kind of throughout, even from the table read.
Yeah.
Jaren and Beth very much encouraged. They were open to our suggestions. They were open to just playing, seeing what happens, and thankfully the writers gave us their blessing.
Yeah.
And it was just really fun to kind of have that as a guide, but also feel the freedom to work as a whole team to kind of more things if they need.
Yeah, when we're going head to head in the hallway, I don't think we got a single line right. We were all just running over each other and doing new things that would come up every time. Honestly, this is one of the most creatively free projects that I've ever had the pleasure of working on. Aw, it's
Beautiful. And you got some, for that time, you got some really interesting shots there. The shot in particular was, looking down on the door when the cord's being pulled on both sides.
Yeah.
Or even opening the drawer. Good stuff with mirrors.
Yeah.
Where, you're looking at one character, but you're seeing someone else reflected.
Yeah.
In there. How much of those shots were sort of something you looked at first or caught in the moment?
That's a great question. In the spirit of improv and collaboration, it's kind of a mix. I went in with probably too rigorous a plan because of how short a time we had, and I was kind of like, this is how it has to go. But when you're moving, like that mirror shot in particular, that was just come up with in the moment. She had to land it perfectly, land her mark, and we got that. And that was amazing. And the reflection stuff really, when you're in the editing process, you go, oh, the reflections is like a theme here. It's especially with the paint and masks and who's real, and it's that stuff all kind of just comes out. And it's kind of the tide of the movie just kind of happens as you're going, And that's the team. I'm glad you brought up the shot looking down. as the door when they're pulling the cord underneath. That is a great example of the collaboration. I think that was Meg and Nate. Meg, our production designer, and Nate, the camera operator, came up with that. And that's because everyone's there looking at the monitor and pitching ideas, and that's the way I like to work. And so those shots come out of that. It kind of comes out of like, here's the bucket, this is what we're all trying to do, and everyone here, the whole team, this is how they express themselves through their craft, and they bring that in, and if it fits into the bucket of what the theme is, it just kind of comes out that way. So, yeah.
How many days did you have with Dermot and Ann?
3 or 4 or 5?
3. It was 3. And the first day was not even really.
Michaela says 3.
It was 3. It was 3.
Yeah.
And how was it? I gotta ask, how was it working with Ann?
It was great. I mean, that was a really hard thing. Since she passed and we were color correcting while that happened. That was just very bizarre for all of us. My wonderful girlfriend Alex is here. She's a therapist. We got on a Zoom and had everyone kind of talk it out. Working with her, I thought a lot about this. I feel like the best way to honor her is to be honest about her. She is so kind of who she is and expressive and has this spiky energy. And when she first came on board, she would kind of go into these tangents of, from her past. And it was kind of hard to parse. I was like, what's happening here? And until I realized that's how she's creating the character. She was linking back to things that she had gone through. And the big scene in the office, which is such a pivotal scene, we were all kind of, I was doing my director thing, and we were all kind of whispering, like, where's the motivations and stuff? And she just came in and was like, what are we doing here? This is a what the fuck moment. What the fuck is happening? And it took me a little bit to realize she was in character kind of doing that. And she was right. It kind of galvanized everyone and brought this energy to that scene, this urgency. And that's who she was. So I think that's beautiful. There's something beautiful about that, She's just someone that, I think you all said, you couldn't, whenever she was on set and she started, what's she gonna do next? I don't know. And there's something beautiful about being able to capture that, and something very surreal and weird about being like, she's gone now, and we managed to capture something of her. And so that was, it's something. She was great. She's a force of nature. Yeah, so did anyone else want to speak to that?
I was just gonna say that, especially watching back, a lot of, aside from that office scene, but a lot of the other stuff that she was in, we were almost always on set, even when we weren't called, because we wanted to be there and we loved watching and everything. So I just remember watching a lot of her choices over the monitor, and just every time it being something completely different, which we always kind of study and admire as actors. And then just seeing the final product is just wild to see some of the things that she just kind of, she came to play just as hard as we did, if not harder. And I think it definitely leveled up our game those days that they were both on set, which was fun.
Yeah. I'll also add that, as much as we're these shots and these themes and all that stuff, Ann and Dermot were kind of like a comedy duo on set. And they brought a looseness that I think was needed. There's a levity there. I think they're hilarious in the movie. And I think that was needed for this. It's a fun movie. It's supposed to be a fun, tight little movie. So I think that they knew enough to kind of bring that too.
Yeah, you also sense that they had a relationship.
Yeah.
And between them,
Which is important.
In the time you had with them, I think you really felt that there was a past, a present, and a future. They had a dialogue with each
history,
other,
yeah.
and the looks between them were great. So there's good moments in your movie where people are acting without speaking.
Yeah.
Which is always, I love as a filmmaker to see, as a film goer to see.
Thank you for saying that. I love that too.
The other thing I noticed that you're doing a lot of stuff where you're sort of center punching characters, and they're looking right at camera, right in camera. Tell me about that choice.
Sure. One of the great things about the script, besides the structure and the fun of it and everything, a gift that was given to us is that a lot of writers don't do is, from the start, your main character knows what she wants and she's going after it. Not only does that give us a springboard for the story, but it gives us an aesthetic, right? It's she's very centered and she's driven toward what she wants, and we said, well, let's center punch her, and we're following her or leading her toward what she wants. She's going to ask Bryce's character exactly what she wants. Once we establish that, it kind of gives us leeway to go into this kind of there's these kind of Western style showdowns, we can go from these epic wide shots to these very intimate kind of close shots where they're staring right down the barrel. And I have a bigger, like, more highfalutin version of this too, which is like, I think since like, thank you.
I got time.
You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Since YouTube and content creation, all this stuff, people are talking directly to the camera, and that's what we're watching. We're watching these creators always talk right to us. And I thought about that one night. I was kind of like laying in bed, my laptop right here, and I was watching. And I was like, I think this is how people best relate to characters now. And when you're making a movie, you always want to relate to the character, right? So I just felt like that was kind of a good way to pull us in. And then we can, the reverse of that is their POV. So that kind of loosely is where all that kind of stemmed from.
Yeah, you get in these Zoom meetings now, and you're looking right in every
Yeah,
face.
exactly.
Good stuff. Let's open it up to the audience. Shall we?
Sure.
You guys want to ask some questions? Yeah. Any questions? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, Jenna.
What inspired you when you were directing? Because I know I feel like it's not your typical genre.
Oh, good question. I think I've come to be confident in that, like, I watch a lot of different stuff. I don't kind of just watch horror or whatever. And I'm kind of now, like, the more I'm trying to find my voice is the more it's just like, that's the stew. Like, there's some grindhouse stuff, there's some more artful, highfalutin stuff, and there's some blood, and but really what's most inspiring me is, I think that no matter the movie or genre, everyone responds to characters the most. And so it's just whatever's the best way to, I don't know, show that character. And so that's what we were talking about, like center frame and all that stuff. So that was the most inspiring thing to me. And then these actors working with my soulful, amazing friends and crew to create these characters. Like we just said, Morgana just like fucking gender swapped a whole character and created and then knife and all this stuff. And it's like, that's the stuff I love. So that's what's inspiring to me. It's like when that kind of stuff happens, you're like, oh my God, this is the best. Thank you, longtime friend Jenna.
And let me ask you about that, because to some degree there's a little bit of a sort of a class divide, isn't there? You know what I mean? You've got the sort of salt of the earth father who's, working in, blue collar land, and the sort of, guy who's clearly in the government. And, tell me about that.
Well, that was in the script. I mean, that was kind of one of the things we related to. We liked a lot in the script. So well done, Walker and Brad. I think that was a matter of just sticking to the backbone, the skeleton that the script presented, and all that stuff would kind of come to the fore. I really like watching it right now. I just was really taken with the structure of the script. Like, it's a fun movie and it's kind of funny, and it's about a cell phone, right? That's small. And then they're throwing the heroes into like the water, and the dad dies, and it's rough. Like, you're kind of like, oh, they're stomping on the lower class, and it was just kind of you just kind of fall into that, like, oh, this shit got real as you're watching it, and that's just the structure of the script, and so that kind of worked well, I think. I think since that was already there, I didn't want to like mess with that or try to hit it over the head or bring any more to it. It's just there, and you just let the characters play that out. I think.
How much did you three play together to develop your characters? Yeah, you.
Go, right.
How did we do that? How did we do that? Honestly,
It's a little time.
right. Honestly, when you have such great scene partners as everyone in this film, especially the two that I played with the most, it makes it super easy to bring out what the scene calls for, and create these dynamic relationships between the three of us. I have to give it up for Meg some more, because I mean, the fact that we got to live in a space that was, I mean, it was a house. It wasn't like we were on a sound stage or anything, but like, she created this world where it felt, when I first walked through the house for the first time, like, well, I have to pretend that this is my home, and this is way bigger than my house. So it was, that made it easy to live in the shoes of Schroeder, and then from there, I mean, the three of us just back and forth improv, we just got to live in that world, and they made it super easy.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to what Kiara said. Like, even when we weren't called, we were on set. We were hanging out after it was all night shoots, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. for a month, and after we would wrap, we would all like pile into my room, and I bought a projector, and we hung a sheet on the wall, and we would just watch movies and hang out and play Uno Flip. And you know, at the end of the shoot, we were like such good friends, and we were shooting the exterior of the school, which one of the first shots where she sees us from afar at the car, and we did a couple takes, and then Jared and Beth told us to go wild, and we just started like play fighting and like wrestling to the ground, and Beth turns to Jared and goes,
there was wands and wizards.
Beth turns to Jared and goes, are they like wildly uncool right now? Like, these are supposed to be the popular kids.
I also want to say, like, when you're doing so many night shoots, there's a certain degree where you just reach this state of like delirium where there's just a lifelong bond that just keeps happening. Like, you're so delirious, it's like we feel like we've known each other forever. So it's like we had 21 days, but like going through that process just created a bond with us that like I think really shows through on screen. And like I still talk to these people every single day. I'm gonna go home with them later tonight. Like, we hang out. Like, it really just bonded us all together, especially those graveyard night shoots. Totally.
Yes, I gotta tell you guys, 3 of them, no, all of them are staying at my house right now.
Hey!
So Morgana shows up.
Literally,
and
we're
she
going home together.
said, so I was like, Morgana, yeah, Dad, I want to have some friends over. I didn't know they were like this, man. I would have never approved this shit. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
So what was, to everyone of you, even the director, what was your most challenging scene and how did you overcome it?
I have an answer.
You go first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
The scene on the stairs when they're all drugged. That was a hell of a night. That was insane, actually. I mean, Anne was on one, as she should have been. We didn't know what we were doing. We were all kind of at. It was late into the shoot, or no, it's like middle of the shoot, but it was just like it wasn't coming together. We made a script change, and the script, all that stuff happens outside, and we were like, we just didn't have the capacity to do that, so let's just run in and do it in the stairs. And I think it came together okay. I think we did it with post. And Jeff's shooting, and Nate's shooting, and it looks cool, you know, and I think it works. And then Anne, the end of it, the button works with Anne coming right in the frame. But that was, for me, that night was the most challenging night for me. And then all the stuff where they're setting up the murder scene in the car and all that stuff, that was right next to the house. And we had to match that to like the thing, and that we were just rushing.
Yeah, can I talk on that?
Please.
Yeah, because freezing cold out there. But because of some like behind the scenes logistics stuff, the ending in the script didn't work. And so after we had that nightmare of a day, we're coming down the stairs, we got the sort of button on Gooch's character with me and Bryce where I said, get it yourself, in one take. That was a one taker. We did that in one take. That's how fast we were going. After that, we realized the ending didn't work, and we had to go right next to the house and rewrite the ending entirely. And that was difficult to do because we had to kind of get like all Criminal Minds and be like, okay, well, what is
Fingerprints on the knife.
Fingerprints on the knife. Yeah. What is all the explanation for this? So that was really tough. But I got to, I brought it up. I was like, hey, Jaren, this doesn't work. This doesn't make any sense. And we all worked together and we kind of rewrote the ending of Gooch's character, and that was a lot of fun. That was really cool.
Do you want to go next? Okay. I was going to do the stairwell scene, but since you already said it, personally, the scene where Zara is walking across the bridge and decides to go back, just because, I know about it from the get-go, and that wasn't done till the last week, and so there was just kind of the pressure building up of this is your one big thing, and all depends on you. And we were losing daylight, and Nate, God bless him, is walking with a Steadicam backwards across the bridge, quietly, and It just felt, you know, just that thing of like, okay, you have to nail it
That
now.
that was a great badass shot.
Thank you. It was beautifully set up, badass shot. And then they were like, don't fuck it up. And I was like, heard. So that one just personally was like, oh God, you gotta do this. And we were losing time and daylight and everything. So, but I'm happy that I had the challenge.
Hey, you nailed it.
Hey,
You did it.
thanks.
Oh no, you have a mic. Okay.
I can name like 4. But I guess one that comes to mind is our scene, me and Morgana and I scene, when I drag her into the bathroom, and it was difficult because it kept getting pushed. We were supposed to shoot it like today, and no, we'll shoot it tomorrow, and then it just kept getting pushed, and then it was, all right, we're gonna shoot it next week. Okay, cool. And then when we get the call sheet for that day, and when we go on set and we get the call sheet, that scene was there, and I was like, I guess we got to go there today. So that was kind of, and it was at the end of a very long day. I don't remember what we shot that day, but I remember it being very exhausting. That scene was difficult, and then just throwing it in there. Me walking up the stairs, I kept tripping. I have big feet, and for some reason, that really was the hardest. It was frustrating.
Yeah.
And you were laughing, and you're like, and I'm like, it's not funny. I keep falling.
I was a bad director in that scene, for sure.
Right then and there, I was getting annoyed. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely that death scene was one of the hardest ones for me to film. Actually, falling from the ladder was, and like landing on my knife, that part right there. Behind the camera, like everyone is in these like massive parkas and they're all by heaters, and like they said, it was fucking freezing. And I'm out here in a crop top and my little suspenders and
Covered in blood.
covered in blood. I'm
fake blood,
sticky
just
and
so
wet and freezing. And honestly, it really helped because I'm like sitting there shaking, and it's like I'm just like go. And everyone's like, can we put a jacket on you? I'm like, absolutely not. Just keep going. Like, let's just roll, please. And so the shakes like actually really helped and get me into character. But it was just so funny because I was like, how do you want me to lay here? Like, and I started like tweak my leg this way. Jared's like, oh yeah, we love that. Do it every single time. I'm like, fuck. Okay, do it every single time. Like, yeah, let's go. Like, let me get my stretches in first. Damn. And it's like behind a bush, I have Kelly there with like fake blood, and she's like, all right, we're gonna go. Like, we only had a few takes to get that blood spurting out of my backs, and so it's like, again, those takes are quick. It's like, hopefully we get it in the first try, and like after that, we gotta move on.
You got it, take one, and then we just have fun with it.
We had so much fun with it. After we're like, okay, just like spout of blood, let's just keep going. Like, why not? And so I have Kelly like hiding behind in a hedge, and I'm like sitting there shivering, and it was a great scene. But yeah, that was definitely the hardest one. That tested me. I'm like, everyone's like, you're doing great, and their parkas by the heaters, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're having fun.
What I
Great.
remember about that was like a feat of meditation, because we were like just taking our time. Like you're laying there, and I forget. Oh yeah, and I look over, and your like eyes are
Oh,
closed.
Kendra?
Yeah,
Okay,
like, are you okay? And you're like, yeah, just eyes closed. And then we'd say, actually, you fucking go into it, and I'd be like, oh my god, you're incredible. And I also was a bad director during that. But Michaela and everyone else killed it. Yeah, the scene you guys are talking about, the death scene, it's so funny that I recognize why that was hard for you guys. I think for all of us, it was like a very kind of magical moment. It was so quiet. It was so dark on the rest of the set, and we're just watching you guys, and everyone just kept it quiet so you could stay in it. And so I remember that night as being very, like, I loved it.
No, it was difficult, but I loved it too.
Yeah.
What else was interesting, just watching it, was obviously there's a sort of a disconnect and a cruelty to some of these characters.
Yeah.
But there's also some connection between you, which was an interesting thing to see between you and her and him when you die and you have to let go, and those decisions happening, and the power shifts that kept happening throughout the script, which was, I'm assuming, the writers making that happen, because part of it almost looked like this could be a play.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you great shift in dynamics, the father showing up, and then wondering how much of father-son, how much are we saying that that's what you grew up with?
Yeah.
Right.
And then do we imitate those in power? We aspire to go to those schools. We want to be in those institutions, but then at what point do you lose your own moral compass?
Yeah.
Those are all great points.
Well said.
Yeah. love
You want to
that.
get up here?
Sounds like a pretty good movie.
Good stuff,
That sounds
man. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, how did you guys manage creative differences and like how did you manage like the film budget?
Okay. Well, the film budget, Jerry Olson back there, a line producer and all-around producer, he was amazing. Quite honestly. Hi, Jerry. We love you. A lot of the shots that make the movie work, like her getting stabbed in the leg and blood coming out and all that stuff, was just like an added day that Jerry got us. We were like, listen, this stuff's not going to work well unless we get these inserts. And Jerry got us that, and I know it was a fight, but it's okay because it worked out. The budget stuff is this is I guess it's a low budget movie, but for me, my highest budget. So I come from the world of like, this is what you're given, make it work. And again, I think that's why I have such a great team, because we kind of have come up through doing that. And once you have your kind of trusted people around, you go like, well, we can't do what we wanted to do. This is the budget. This is what we can do. How do we make it work? It's just about getting every single person's ideas into the bucket. So that for me is, I guess, how we navigate the budget. Is that a good answer?
Yeah, I also would say, like, I mean, anytime we had tense moments on set in terms of time or creatively or just things that were just going, things that come up within this home that we lived in, basically, we end at 6 a.m. and almost everyone would go and get breakfast, and like it just felt like there was like the living in a small town, being kind of like isolated with just ourselves, kind of allowed for that kind of like, we're a family. So there's things that are gonna get tense, and there's arguments that are gonna happen, or like moments that are gonna happen, and then we're gonna go get breakfast and like come back the next day ready to work. Everyone was so passionate about this project, from like every single person that worked on it. And so it was just really beautiful to kind of watch things, even when things were tense, for like the next day or the next moment, or at breakfast, for it to all kind of subside, because we all had like one goal of making this movie.
Yeah, it's a really good question too. I mean, sets get tense, man, and I think that a lot of people that make movies, aspersions cast, but like are conditioned to think that's the way it's supposed to go, and there's yelling and there's whatever, and there will be that. But I felt the worst whenever I would have kind of an outburst of yelling or something. I just hate it, and I'm trying to work with some people, and we're trying to change that, or at least the sets that we run, because you're under time constraints, you're under money constraints. Always against, no matter what, you're always up against it. I think going intense is not going to help things. So it's kind of, I'm trying to get to a point where you can just like everyone just chill. When we get tense, we'll be able to figure it out. And yeah, it's a good question.
You clearly had actors that wanted to be in the game,
Yeah.
which is such a great thing as a filmmaker, when you've got actors that want to hang out together, like they do. Like I said, he's on my couch, this guy's here. They clearly enjoy each other. That comes across.
Yeah.
And they're hungry and ready to get in there.
Yeah.
And that makes a huge difference. I hope you guys don't lose that. If you keep that and you show up on the set, you're gonna learn what to do and you're gonna learn what not to do. And your career will be a lot longer if you keep that attitude.
Yeah.
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 Could I add something?
Yeah, please.
Sorry. It's just like, it was interesting because, as actors, we're always taught, listen, always be listening. And it was interesting to be on a set where the directors listened. I bombarded at a point in time Jaren and Beth with these ideas that I had and little things that I found in the script, and I sent them emails like, hey, I just want to be on the same page, so that way I could be in the scene as free as I possibly could, so we could improv, so we could have these relationships. And I just want you to know that you're one of the best directors I've worked with, because of the fact that you did listen and you did collaborate. You know what I mean?
Wasn't even too. That was an honor.
Yeah, it was.
Thank
It
you
really
very
was
much.
an
I
honor,
appreciate
for
that,
sure.
Bryce.
Mhm.
I love you. I love you.
I
all.
love you too.
Love you.
Any last questions? Yes, sir.
Hi, Dad.
I don't know any of you in the background other than this first movie, but the three of you that played the bad / crazy people, did you have something that you based it on? Is there something you thought about? Because each of your roles was a little weird, a little tough.
I mean, it wasn't really our fault. She did commit theft.
That's true.
No, I mean, does anyone else want to go first?
You go, Brian.
I kind of brought kind of past characters that I've played. Like I played King Claudius one time, and so I kind of brought that kind of mentality to it. And then I also studied, shout out, Al Pacino in The Godfather Part 2, and Arno Firsch in Funny Games, just because those characters are very calm and collected, but like there's always something going on underneath, and the power dynamics that they both had in those respective films was of someone that was kind of under someone and wanted to bring out, what am I talking about? Those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, Morgana, who did you think of?
I didn't have anyone specific in mind. Honestly, I think Kendra started to come together the most when like it was such a collaborative process, you know, and it's like when I called Beth and Jaron, I was like, you know, I'm thinking of this character and it's like it's Kenny right now, but it could be Kendra, you know, and like really make this character pop. He felt so in the background, and I just wanted to bring him up to par with these other incredible villains that we had in the movie. And just talking to them, it just kind of really it was such a collaborative process. And then, you know, the next day we're on set and like we're going through the wardrobe together. We got the red jacket and then the suspenders, and I was like, oh shit, okay, I'm really feeling Kendra. And so getting into that space, and then they did my hair, and like really honestly playing around with these two, just like feeling our dynamic out. Those first few days I think were like crucial. It really just helped us like bond, and like staying up so late and just seeing how we felt in our characters, and like honestly bringing our real friendship into it, and just our dynamic. And so it was a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, it was just the process that really brought them to life. And then the second we got on camera, it was like, oh shit, this is real. Like I feel it.
Yeah, I think like when you're writing a good villain, they can't think what they're doing is wrong, or else there's no reason for them to be doing what they're doing, right? And so like in the case of all of us, like we feel we have to be doing this. Like this is our only choice. Like and I at the beginning of production on like my first day, Jaron and Beth brought me into a room by myself, and they were like, "This is your character. You are this fucked up kid. You're a disappointment to your dad. Like you don't get any attention, and like these two are your only people." And so like, you know, it fuels a lot, especially with the makeup, when, you know, I'm being shoved around and kicked the shit out of by Bryce, and you know, it just like all of that builds up into like this tense energy that you have when we're doing these scenes, and it just, you know, I feel like it comes across in the performance a lot that like this is what we have to do. Like this is not like we have to do this.
That's a good answer.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dad. I have a question for you, Dad. Do you think it's unfair that the actors got the chairs and I'm standing?
Take our chair.
All right.
Now you're just both just standing.
I think we can end it there. Yeah. Yeah. So. Well, thank you to Mario Van Peebles very much for doing. Thank you to you all. We're having an after party at EP/LP Rooftop. Say you're killing me, so you'll get the wristband to go to the private area. Thank you to the Lumiere Theater for hosting this, and also for that great question.
Thank you.
Thank you to Quiver and Jerry and the whole crew and everyone. I love you all.
And after seeing the movie, you know what happens when you drink. So watch what you drink.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for coming, everybody. Give it up for the movie. Good stuff.